Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome to another part of my garden. My name is Brandon, an ecological gardener growing things in southeast Texas. Today is Monday, August 11th, and today I want to talk about planting things in the heat of the summer. Now, this is something that I don't really do anymore, but when I first moved onto this property, I had none of what you see here. I had a blank slate, 5 giant old 30-year-old sago palms that I can't stand, and that was it. I had no privacy of any kind here, no plant growth really. It was rough, and so I planted things all year, all through the summer, the winter, the fall, and in Texas, or sorry, southeast Texas, we have a 12-month growing season, so you can totally do that. You never have to stop gardening here, minus the couple of hard freezes that we have in December through February. But other than that, you can grow things all year. So I have stopped planting things so much in the summer since I've pretty much planted this property out, and I'm happy enough with it. But once a month we do visit a garden center because we have to take care of an errand. And so I pick up a few plants, and I've picked up a few things here that are on the ground. Let me show you. All right, so I picked up a few things this time. I've got a few salvias here. Salvias and lantanas are some of my favorite plants. This is labeled as Mystic Spires, but I believe it's actually Misty. I'll talk about the details of cultivars and things in the future. I'm really passionate about lantana and salvia cultivars and knowing exactly what I have so that I know how it's going to grow and such. I got a few lantanas here, and I think I'm going to pick probably one of these to kind of focus in on. Oh, who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Well, I think I'm gonna pick Miss Dallas Red here. This is labeled as Dallas Red. I'm not 100% sure if that's the correct labeling here. If it is Dallas Red, these get pretty large, and I have a few of them already. This is just so very orange for Dallas Red. I really don't believe that that's what this is. I think this could be, I don't know. I know most of the cultivars that they sell at Houston Garden Centers, which is where I picked up these guys, but I'm not sure about this one. There's one called Citrine that I really like that looks similar to this, and there are a few. This just does not say Dallas Red to me, but I can't tell for sure what it is. Now, there's a possibility that it's related to these two. These looked so good when I bought them. Let's go ahead and insert some video footage here. So these are called Hot Blooded, I believe. Yeah, Hot Blooded. And I left these sitting literally for a month floating around the garden because I don't like planting things in the summer anymore. It's not easy. It's not easy on me because it's uncomfortable outside. I can barely get myself to come out here and do my regular maintenance stuff, much less planting things and watching them die. But what I'm going to show you today is how I go about planting something in the summer and giving it the best chance that I possibly can. And it's going to look extreme. This is not so much a how-to video, but more of a how I do video. Anything that I do that I show you here on this channel and online is going to be just showing you how I do something, not telling you that you should do it the same way, but please try my methods and see if they work for you. All right, so to get started here, when I'm planting something, especially in the summer, I prune at least a little bit because what you're going to see in a minute is kind of extreme for the plant, and well, I'll explain during that process why. You want to reduce stress on the plant by pruning a little bit off here and there. I usually take off all the flowers. For lantanas, this is a very easy thing to do. You pretty much go down to a node. I don't know if this is going to focus too well, but lantanas grow, so they got 2 sets of leaves, and then they got a stem that just keeps growing upwards, and it splits and splits and splits, and you have the flowers and the leaves. I just go right above a node and cut and cut. And lantanas respond very well to this kind of pruning. So this of course doesn't hurt them at all, and it helps a lot with reducing stress on the plant. So I'll take off some of the top growth, and then I'll go inside of the plant structure and take off some of the little tiny branches that are growing internally, because those are not going to help with airflow. Let's just say you want to have good airflow through the plant. Plants like lantanas and zinnias will get, kind of stagnant and grow mildew and stuff in the internal structure. So if you can do this little bit of prep work, it'll help your plants last a little bit longer, be a little bit healthier. Lantanas will die to the ground in the winter, but they will grow, most of them, especially in my area, will grow back in the spring. So you'll kind of be restarting. But for this year, during this planting, I'm going to just clean up the plant real quick to give it the best chance I can. I pretty much prune off all the little leaves that are like really in there inside of the internal structure of the plant, like I said, to help with airflow. And also, if you have to cut foliage off to reduce stress on the plant, you may as well cut it off where it's not even being used, which is the internal structure of the plant, where sunlight isn't getting in there. So the plant's not really fully using those leaves. They're kind of all just on life support anyways. So once I have that done to my liking, the next step is going to seem a little bit extreme, but it's a practice that I've been using for all of this year and most of last year, and I've seen a lot of success in it. So like I said, this is a how I do, not how to. So take this as you will. Let's go look at that process and talk about it now. So the next step in my little process for planting here, it's going to look a little crazy. Now this is kind of like my own method that I've come up with, but there's a practice that is similar to this known as root washing. So I think you'll see farmers do this with bare root trees when they first get them. They don't have a lot of soil on them, but they will basically wash whatever soil is there off of the plants. And I don't feel like a whole lot of people do this, but this works really well in my garden and helps to mitigate some problems that I've noticed over the years. I'm not going to go into great detail about that because this video will be way too long. But essentially what I'm going to do here is I'm going to wash all of this soil off of the roots. Now I have my crackpot theory opinions as to why I don't like this soil that the plants tend to come in, which is a large part of why I wash it away. But we're not going to talk about all of those things today because I'm not a classically trained horticulturalist or botanist or anything here. Just so we're very clear, I'm just I would say pretty experienced gardener, and I love experimenting and trialing things and failing at things to figure out what trials did and didn't work. So that is who I am. And you'll see if you look at my garden that I have a lot of success here. I do have failures too, but I feel like I know what I'm doing. I was telling boyfriend yesterday, my gardening style is kind of like a doula, like I have this kind of ancestral, intuitive knowledge of gardening, but I don't have a ton of the technical terms. I'm open to learning the technical terms, I'm just not classically trained in them. But to show the process here, first of all, you don't want to start with a bone dry plant. This plant is a little bit dry, so I'm going to water it down a little bit. I'm not sure if this is even in frame. Let's have a look at that real quick. So yes, we are in frame. Let's just do some adjusting here though real quick. Okay. There we go. That ought to do it. All right. So basically what we're going to do here is use the different settings of the water hose to wash the soil away. So what I will normally do is I'll lay the plant on its side, and I'm very icky about my hands being dirty. I usually wear gloves for like everything, so apologies if I wash my hands a million times. So I already kind of know the amount of force that I need to use here. But you'll have to experiment a little bit to see what does and does not tear the plants apart. But I use the settings like this one. This one on this hose is called full. There's also jet, which is a lot stronger. Starting with this one, this is the weakest one. And I kind of move back and forth in a sweeping motion. Again, you don't want to start with like a bone dry plant because this will just rip all of the roots off instead of washing off the soil media. And if I need a little bit more force, what I will do is I'll step back a little bit instead of turning the pressure up or turning the hose setting to the stronger setting. So what I'm doing right now that you can't quite see off camera is I've stepped back and aimed the water from a little bit further away. Once I feel like I've done as much as I can on one side, I'll kind of gently turn it over. Or up on the other side. And when I feel like I'm kind of, okay, making sure my phone is still recording here. When I feel like I've kind of done what I need to here, I'll wash out the bottom of the plant of any, I'll wash from the bottom upwards, any soil that kind of got up onto the leaves, wash everything off here. And I really try to focus in on getting the most soil away from the crown of the plant as I can. Ooh, not that setting. Nope. Flat, full. There we go, full. All right, so turn this down a little. So I will aim away from the top of the plant down towards the roots and kind of sweep through. Let's zoom out a little bit here. Sometimes I'll pick out some of the weird bits of things that may be in there. These plants tend to come in little plugs. Oops, sorry, got off frame there. In little plugs that the cuttings are stuck in. There's actually 2 cuttings here, and I could separate these if I wanted to. Oh, sorry, I keep getting out of frame. I could separate these if I want to and then have 2 plants, but in this case I'm not going to, because I'm feeling a little bit lazy and I just want to get this done. But what I have here, if you see, is kind of a flat plane that the roots are on that are mostly washed out. I'm not going to make it perfect like I said, but I just want most of that stuff washed out. And then the planting part is next. So I guess let's go ahead and go get to that. But this is what I end up with after that, and this is what I actually go and plant in the ground. So like I said, there are a number of reasons why I do this, and I can't really explain them because they're kind of just intuitive and in my head and woo-woo. but this process works well for me. So let me show you the next step. Okay, so I've managed to pick a spot. I don't have a whole lot of spots left to really plant things, but we recently cleaned this area out underneath my new plum tree that was planted this spring, and so this will do. So instead of going too far into like the how I picked a place to plant, I'm just going to show you how I plant. Of course, I want to pick a spot that's not going to be super. Ooh, that was a mouse that just crossed by. I try to be peaceful with the mice as much as I can, as long as they don't get into the house. I'm not scared of them. I just don't need them chewing holes into the insulation and stuff. Anyways, so I've picked a spot here, and what I'm going to do is basically just with the native soil, dig a small hole, cover the roots, make sure that the plant's crown, and let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, so basically I'm just aiming to get the roots barely underneath the soil here, so I'm gonna clear out a little area. Oh, I've got things here growing. This, by the way, is one of my favorite tools. I've actually sharpened the edge so that I can just scrape across the surface of the soil and clear it out very quickly. It cuts through almost everything that isn't, you know, like big tree roots and stuff. And then I just kind of do this, and that'll get the soil off of whatever plants I scoop up. I move them off to the side. This grape is going to drive me nuts. It has been driving me nuts since we moved in here, and it barely produces food, so it's on the chopping block. All right, so I've got my little area pretty well prepared here. It doesn't really take much. You don't have to go very deep for this. Sorry, I've always got to really prepare the area whenever I'm doing this, get the nuisance plants out. So you don't have to go very deep for this. Sorry, I don't go very deep for this. Once again, this isn't really a how-to video. I'm not telling you that this is the right way at all. I'm just showing you what I do, and you can look at the success of my garden and decide if you want to follow me for advice or not. All right, so basically what I'll do here is make sure the roots are spread out as much as they can be. Let me check the angle of this camera. All right, so we need to move a little bit here. Okay, so if you see here, I've got the crown of the plant where it's going to be just above the soil here, and I'm just going to cover the roots and gently pack them in. And then we're going to come back in a moment and water this in. I try to mound it up a little bit higher than it looks like it needs to be, because of course the soil is going to settle a little bit whenever I water it in, but watering it in is absolutely necessary. Have a look real quick at the plant. Okay, I've got some pineapple salvia here, Salvia elegans. Oh look, it's rooted in the ground right there. That's good. That means that's going to be a real strong plant next year. So that's basically it. I'm going to water this in real quick. I'll show you that part, I suppose. All right, and then we're going to water that in. So this next step is something I don't always do, but it's an optional thing, and that is to block the sun in the hottest part of the day for maybe a week while the plant is establishing. Making sure that the plant stays watered is really important too. However, this can really help out, especially if it's a really sensitive plant that you're planting. I tend to steer away from those. Lantanas are not real sensitive plants, so this is not a plant I really have to baby too much, but I want to show you a few things that you can do. So here where I am, the sun, I know my garden really well, so I'm just going to tell you, the sun sets over there, it goes overhead this way. So my plant is here, and the sun is going to be the most danger coming from this direction. A few things you can do. Set something in front of the plant to block the sun during the hottest part of the day and shade it out. So this would be enough right there. Also something like this. I've got these little nursery basket things that tend to come with the plants whenever you're getting them from the nursery. You could take something and stick it through to prop this up, and then I've got a little shade that'll block the sun in the hottest part of the day. 6 days later. Well, howdy. It's been almost a week since I planted this little lantana here. I actually can't remember which day exactly it was. I probably should have checked that before I started recording. But let's have a look at it and complete this video because I'm getting anxious about not posting it. And here we are. So this is not my first rodeo. I knew this plant was going to do okay. You see there's no signs of any kind of trouble with it. It's fully rigid, it's not wilted or anything. It is the evening time right now, so it's a little bit cooler than it was during the midday sun. I did remove the little tray thing trying to block the sun today. I don't even know if I really needed it. Another thing to know is that although I have been watering it daily, I did not water it today because I wanted to show just kind of how much stress these type of plants with this type of planting can take. So let's move the angle a little bit and show you what the soil looks like over the root area. All right, as you can see, you may notice that there's a small difference here, and that's the grass clippings. Now, I haven't talked about this on my channel yet, but I use grass clippings for mulch. I would say almost exclusively, but this year, since getting the wood chipper, I do use more than just grass clippings. But grass clippings are a huge part of my mulching process. But I tried to avoid putting them directly over the root zone here, just to kind of test out and see, how much could this plant possibly handle. And in that, I also, like I said, I didn't water today because I wanted to try to show what the soil looks like and how much moisture might still be down there. So that's pretty dry. There's a little moisture in there. Again, I did not mulch. I don't want to go all the way down into hitting the roots. But yeah, there's some moisture in there still. Not too surprising considering I removed all the plants around here that would have sucked the moisture out of the soil. But the plant itself, as you can see, is looking really, really nice. I wanted to try to wait to do the final update until it had some flowers on it, but it will have them before long. I mean, you can see it looks excellent, no burns or anything. I did pick a pretty good spot, but yeah, this is my planting method. I am going to go ahead and cover the root zone with my grass clippings. Ew, I'm touching it without gloves. This is just for the camera because I don't like to take gloves on and off in the heat of the day. I say that, and I've been out here watering for half the day. The weather forecasts have gotten more and more and more unreliable, and I pay very close attention to the weather forecasts, so when I tell you they're getting more and more unreliable, I know what I'm talking about. It's bad, y'all. It's bad. It said it was going to rain for the past 4 days, every day at some level, and ends up not raining at all. And well, that really hurts my plans. Hopefully it rains Tuesday like the weather forecast currently says, but I guess we'll find out. Now, I did plant 2 more of my new plants, and I'm going to take you to the back here in a moment and show you what they look like as well. They are in an even harsher area, so they're doing pretty well, just spoiler alert. before I show the other two plants, I just wanted to really quickly show some of my other lantanas that have been planted this way and are doing really well. This is citrine. I mentioned that one earlier in the video. This is from the Lucky series, just called Lavender. So Lucky Lavender. This one, I am only 80% confident of the ID, but I believe this one is also in the Lucky series, but it's Little Lucky Peach, Peach Glow. This one here is in the Gem series. If you're in the Houston area, you'll find this at the Houston Garden Center pretty frequently. It's a very cute little miniature one. Gem series, I believe this one's called Pink Opal, Pink Gem Opal. This is a pretty standard one in the Houston area. It's called New Gold. I have a few specimens of this that are super, super, super loaded with blooms. This one is being babied where it is, so it's really, really tall because I've kind of pushed it to be that way, but it's a little less covered in blooms. And then I've got so many, I probably shouldn't run around showing them all day. This one isn't blooming really nicely. It's got a leaf miner issue in the flowers, but this is from the Bloomify series. It's called Mango. This one is in the Gem series again, I believe, so Houston Garden Center plant, and it's called Diva Pink. This is one of my favorites that I've been growing for a number of years now. I'm, again, about 80% sure of the ID on this one, and I believe it is Bandana Pink. None of the flowers are really fully opened. Again, I have a leaf miner issue that affects the flowers' ability to open fully, but they still do pretty well. Okay, let's have a look at my last two plants I wanted to show that I planted. So we have one of the smaller lantanas. I believe it's Bandito Pink, looking pretty good. This one has been pretty stressed out, but it is in a really high sun area. The sun comes up over there, and it's very hot here during the day. And then this is the zinnia. Flowers are moved, although it is growing a new one. And zinnias, unsurprisingly, really take the heat well, so it's barely had any real stress at all. Oh, and behind it is another lantana. This is, I want to say, White Diamond. Really pretty one. And over to the left, this is Lemon Zest. And to the right is another Bandana Pink. Looks a little bit better. I'm theorizing that it might be because of this Pelargonium chasing off the leaf miners. Not sure, but either way, looks pretty good. Oh, a short update on the pathway here. And I think that's going to conclude this video. Yeah, again, this is how I plant things in the summer, and as you can see, I have pretty good success with these methods. Again, I'm not telling you to do it this way. I'm showing you how I do it, and you can decide for yourself if you'd like to try these methods out. So, as always, I hope you liked this video. Subscribe, like, share if you want, comment and tell me what you liked about the video, or if you want to know more about some of the lantanas here. I will surely be talking about them in the future, as I really like to rant about lantanas. All right, everybody. See you in the next one.